1,000 million points behind Liverpool. Maths GCSE on the agenda for Pep Guardiola, but I get his point. Manchester City giving themselves a great chance, though, to end a disappointing season on a high. There's been a turnaround. What have you made of that in recent weeks? What's changed?
I think there's been a little bit more belief in what they're trying to achieve. I think the balance has been better since Guardiola's gone into that left-back position. I think left centre-back position. I think that's helped shore them up a little bit more in defence. I think confidence has come back into the players a little bit more, but I still don't think they're anywhere near where they need to be at the moment or where they have been. I think there's still a lot of work to be done on that front. I still think even in the game yesterday, there was vulnerabilities within the team. They are still susceptible to counter-attacks. I think that pace that they used to have in defence and the powers of recovery were a lot better. So they're still far off where they need to be, but there are slight improvements.
He laughed when asked if winning the FA Cup and finishing in the top 5 would be a good season. Shook his head, it's not a good season. What do you think, Sue?
He said no, didn't he? He said absolutely not. And, you know, I think...
You can't win the title all the time. I mean, they've had a pretty good run. You can't win it all the time.
Yeah, and they've obviously set the bar so high, haven't they? And the expectation so high. And we all just presume that Manchester City are going to keep doing what they've done previously. So you feel like winning the FA Cup and qualifying for the Champions League, it's something to build on, which has been a poor season from Manchester City perspective. I thought yesterday, watching them the first sort of 10, 15 minutes, I thought they were brilliant. I thought you saw the real glimpses of how they move the ball around. They find space so well. And I thought first half in particular, I thought they were excellent. And it was Manchester City. There've been games where I've watched them recently where they've really tried to pack out that midfield area, because we've said numerous times on this show where they've shown that vulnerability where teams have just gone right through them, and Pep Guardiola said we've lacked legs and we've lacked athleticism. So I think by packing that midfield area, they've tried to stop that a little bit. But then second half, obviously Forest got themselves back into the game, and like Stephen said, they did show the vulnerability. So you feel like maybe they are moving in the right direction, the direction that they want to go in. But they know that there's still more to come, and that recruitment in the summer will certainly be vital. I
think the interesting thing is, so at the start of every season, everyone gets asked for the predictions of who's going to win the title. At the moment, where would we put City next year? It's just such an unknown, and it's been one season, but because the drop-off has been so significant, if City don't win the title, or didn't win the title, when Liverpool won it, we just went, well, they just had... Liverpool was superior that season. Yes, they still came second and they were still in and around the title race. But this season, we've just seen something that we've never seen in Manchester City before. That invincibility feeling has just completely left them, whether that was Champions League or Premier League. So next season is going to be fascinating to...
Do they have to rebuild that sense of...
100% they do, and that's why this end of season is so important, to finish well, so that when they come back, they go, it was almost there. We're not far off it, getting that feeling back. Yeah. But then you've got to bring the right players through the door to be able to add to that as well, and that's where it's going to be an interesting summer for City.
Let's touch on Kevin De Bruyne on the bench due to tactical reasons. This after the week where he effectively said it wasn't his choice to leave. It's what he was saying, wasn't it? What do you make of it? What do you see happening? Did you see him playing in the Wembley final?
I hope he does. I hope he does, because I think he deserves to for what he's given the football club, and I still think he's the best midfielder that they've got. For tactical reasons, it's very interesting, because tactically he's one of the most diverse players that you can have in your team. He can do a bit of everything. He gets it. Whether he felt that it was because of legs in midfield and because of the way Nottingham Forest can counter-attack, I can sort of see that a little bit, but I'd still want him on the pitch and I'd protect him in different ways. But I hope he plays for the rest of the season, because I think since it was announced that he would be leaving the football club, I think the performances have been stunning. I really do. I think it's interesting to hear him speak about, it's the first time in a long time I haven't played with pain. and we're starting to see the quality that De Bruyne possesses. Whoever gets him is getting a magnificent player, and it'll be interesting to see where he ends up, because whether it's a lifestyle change or a footballing change for what he makes his next decision in his career will be very interesting to see.
Yeah, it's wonderful to see him coaching from the sidelines midweek. When he'd been subbed and he still wanted, still wanted it all. We will see what challenge threatens City though from Palace after midday. So that's coming up later in their incredible semi-final. But let's turn our attention to Forest. If I'm being kind, it was a better second half performance. But overall, how disappointed will Forest be? Failed to register a shot in the opening 45 minutes, just managing one touch in the City box. Can you explain that?
Yeah, I actually felt for Forest coming into the game missing two key players, both their full-backs in Nico Williams and Ola Aina, who've been outstanding for Nottingham Forest. They had to play Zach Abbott, who hadn't started many games for Forest. He's only 18 years old. He was playing out of position, did a good job, but obviously you're going to miss those two key players. They played a sort of 4-4-2 or a 4-4-1-1 in that first half, and they just struggled to get their attacking players into the game. And I think the fact that City scored first and so early on really affected Nottingham Forest. That's something that Forest always want to do. They want to score first, and then they want to sit back and be organised and resilient and stop the team from attacking. So that had to change things. They had to then come out a little bit more. But I thought when he tweaked things in the second half, Alanga coming on, played with a bit more width and certainly caused Manchester City a lot more problems and should have scored, should have got themselves back into the game really early on in that second half. And it would have been interesting to see if they had scored that chance, what could have happened. So we know they're having a brilliant season, but I just think they'll just be disappointed with that first half.
Yeah, Stephen, you have spoken. This is not hindsight being a wonderful thing. You have spoken about this before, players not having the experience of being at this business stage of a season before. Did that impact the semi-final? And what implications does that have in these final few games as they desperately try to cling on to a top 5 spot?
Yeah, I think it did have an effect yesterday. I thought it was an element of where we don't want to throw this away early. We don't want to make mistakes. So what do we want to do? We want to sit in our shape. And I think there was a nervousness about Nottingham Forest yesterday, worrying about how the outcome of the game might happen, knowing that they're on the potential of making, or sort of being in the history books of getting in the FA Cup final and trying to create their own history within this current squad. And I just think the occasion was a little bit too much for them in the first half, and then obviously second half it was just a completely different performance where it was almost like the players and the manager have gone in and said, that is not us, that's not our identity, that's not how we play. And it was almost like the shackles were off in the second half a little bit more, and as Sue says, with the changes, Alanga, he does change that team completely. He brings a fear element to oppositions because of that pace that he has, his ability to drive the team up the pitch as well. They'll look back at that and be disappointed with that first half performance and think what could have been. But going into the final stages of the Premier League, that might help them because of that. Well, we made that mistake in the first half. We were fearful. We can't play with fear. We've got to be ourselves and we've got to be aggressive in the way that they play. And maybe that might just push them over the line now for the final push to get in the top 5.